Ladies and gentlemen, Blackhawk legend, Hockey Hall of Famer, and Chicago's very own, Chris Chelios.
Thank you. Oh, incredible. The path, the journey to where we came from, where I came from. It's so hard to believe that this is actually happening today, and I'm so grateful. Being from Chicago, being a fan, Chicago sports fan my whole life, my lifetime, I've got to see every one of our teams win a championship. The 1985-86 Bears. My 2005 Chicago White Sox, the good old boys on the south side. My North Siders on the Cubs, 2016. We all saw what the Bulls did in the 90s. Too many championships to repeat the years, but what a crazy run that was, and a crazy time for the city. And then to follow what the Chicago Blackhawks did from 2010. 3 Stanley Cups, and I was there loving every minute of it. There's something really special about this recognition, and hopefully by the time I'm done speaking, you're going to understand how much I love the city of Chicago, the Chicago Blackhawks, my teammates, the fans, my friends, and most of all, my family. The most unique thing here for me, thinking about this, and when I first found out that I was going to get my jersey retired, that I'm only one of 2 Chicago-born athletes to have their jersey retired in their hometown. And it just so happened that he was one of my childhood heroes, Dick Butkus. He was the epitome of the south side of Chicago, big, mean, tough. And they say, be careful when you meet your heroes. Sometimes you're disappointed, but he didn't disappoint. I've known Dick for 20 years and his wife, Helen, and their kids. Just an amazing person, and I was honored to be a friend to him. And this is a crazy story. It happened just this morning. You're going to think I'm not telling the truth. I'm known for taking that sauna, right? They used to take saunas all the time. So this morning I go take my sauna at Red Square, the Russian bathhouse over on Division Street. And as I'm checking in, there's these 2 big guys standing at the front desk. And there's no word of lie. One of them turns around and I was looking at a ghost. And I kind of looked at my eyes. I'm thinking my heart just dropped. And the other kid turns around, he's even bigger. It's Dick Butkus' nephews, Luke and Zach Butkus. So if that's not a sign from Dick, I don't know what is. That's crazy. I've had the opportunity to represent my country numerous times. I think 4 Olympics, right? Is that what Pat said? I don't know. But it was always an honor, and most of all because I was representing the city of Chicago and the Blackhawks also. There's all kinds of great athletes that came out of Chicago, Illinois. And I've always cheered for them, always pulled for them, just like you did as a U.S. Olympian. There's one that comes to mind. I want to talk about Eddie Olczyk because we came up together and played in the 84 team. Eddie, I love you and your family. The other one, I thought she should be here. And on short notice, flew in from Vancouver, Downers Grove, Illinois, Cammi Granato, from the Granato family. I've been friends with the Granato family since 1984-85, obviously playing with their brother Tony. Cammi is arguably the best woman hockey player ever to play the game. But there's one thing for sure, she's the best ever from Illinois. God bless her. Cammi, I love you. Thank you. So I've never been the kind of guy who looked before he leaped, I should say. I never worried about consequences, never liked to lose, hated failure, but it didn't bother me. I just looked ahead. I never looked at yesterday, always what was next. So I think that was one of my strongest virtues. As a kid growing up in Chicago, I didn't have any expectations of becoming a professional hockey player. It just wasn't the thing back then. There's only, I believe, 6 or 7 NHL players from the States. And I played it because I loved it. You know, that's all it was. I just loved skating, never thought about anything, didn't even know the path that it took. But once I found out that it might be a reality later in my years, I was all in. I threw everything I had in. I worked as hard as I could. So many breaks, so much luck. And the fate, whatever you want to call it, I ended up here today, and it's amazing. I still can't believe I'm making this speech, quite honestly. This is crazy. Chicago shaped me to be who I am today. Born and raised on the South Side, you're taught to be humble. You're taught to be respectful. Everybody was hardworking. And speaking of hard work, I'll just take a second. I want to thank all the policemen and women, firemen, first responders, for putting your lives on the line for us each and every day to protect this city. Your hard work doesn't go unnoticed. As I mentioned, I was the smallest kid really in my class, on my teams. But as I got older, people would always remind me that you don't have a chance to go anywhere. You're too small. Teammates. For one second there, my dad actually told me I better go to school, get a college degree, because you don't have much of a chance of continuing a career and making a living at it. But it all started, Mom sneaks behind Dad's back. We go to Ace Hardware. We buy a $5 pair of skates. 2 sizes too big, so we saved a little money. I wore them for like 2 years, stuffed them with socks, started skating on some outdoor arena about 5 blocks from the house. There used to be a basketball court in the summers, and then they called it Candy Cane Park. They painted it red and white in the wintertime, and that's where I skated. The firemen flood the park, and I bounced around on that thing, and sooner or later, my dad probably said, you know, he looks like he likes it a lot. So nobody from that neighborhood, first of all, because of the cost, you know, it was expensive to play hockey even back then. So my dad just ran into a little good fortune at the time. So he bought me the best pair of skates. He bought me the best equipment, put me on a team. Obviously, the rest was history. So I grew up to play for, first team was in Willow Springs, the Stingrays, where I attended a Dennis Hull hockey school, of all things, where all the Blackhawks were our teachers and on the ice, and I got the bug. I got to see Bobby Hull, Stan Mikita, Tony Esposito, and that's where I just fell in love more with the Hawks. And my dad had taken me to the games as a child to see them, and I actually got to meet them. I've continued to play for teams, the St. Jude Knights on the South Side. Yeah, there's a bunch of St. Jude Knights here. A bunch of guys from the Caravan are here, Mount Carmel Caravan, right? And I can't thank these guys enough for all the support they've given me. I just hope, like you guys, they feel like they got a piece of this. They get a piece of me, because in some way, I'll drop some names tonight, some famous, some not, but all of them played some big role in me getting to here today. There's no question about that. I finished off, I remember Pat telling that story about when I won the state championship and the Kennedy Cup in the same day. That was one heck of a day. I don't think anybody's ever done that, but I did have 2 other teammates that had to do the same thing. Mike Skrzyncki and Mike Getty had to take that long trip to Waukegan from home with Flossmoor to accomplish that task. The sad day when I moved from Chicago at 15, right, Ma? We packed up. Who knows why? Dad had another bad deal in restaurants, right? And that didn't go too good. So my dad ends up moving to San Diego, and I thought, that's it. You know, that's probably it for my hockey career. And, you know, it didn't matter to me. I started surfing. You know, I actually started doing better in school. And it was something that, you know, I never looked back, like I said. And all of a sudden that day hit. I ran into a kid on a beach, and he's right here with me today. He's been with me since the beginning. His name's Bobby Parker. So, Bobby Parker, stand up, man, please. I wasn't playing hockey at the time, and I ran into Bobby at the beach, and he said, listen, you're pretty good, but why don't you take this phone number of this coach up in Moose Jaw, maybe he'll give you a tryout. He did, and the rest was history. So it was unbelievable, right place at the right time with Bobby. And then Bobby actually went back to end up being my partner for a couple of years. So amazing. Okay, I'll go fast forward here. I think my career was so long, I'm trying to shorten this. I'm looking at the clock here, too. It's at 6 minutes and 33 seconds, so I'm doing okay. After Moose Jaw, I went on to play 2 years at Wisconsin, and I picked Wisconsin. Yeah, we got some Badgers in the crowd, right? And I simply picked Wisconsin because it was closest to Chicago. That's God's truth. It's an easy trip for my friends. I continued on to play for the '84 Olympic team and then turned pro. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Montreal because the team I broke in with, and the Molson family was more than generous throughout my whole career there. The day I was traded to Chicago was the greatest day of my life. The summer of 1991, I got that phone call from Serge Savard. It was the shortest phone call you could ever imagine. My heart dropped when he said I was traded, but he continued to say, but I traded you home to Chicago. I hung up that phone. I called my mom and dad out in San Diego. Let's go, you guys. We're moving back home. So in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, we were back in Chicago. Mom and dad caught that first opening game against the Rangers. Unbelievable. It was a dream come true. A team you grow up watching, and all of a sudden, I'm walking up those stairs, the old stadium, and I'm stepping on the ice. And those 90s were unbelievable. The city was on fire, and I'll get to the Bulls later, but it was amazing. My first year here, we had the All-Star game. Just a stroke of luck, and we had the 91 All-Star game, and playing in front of the hometown crowd, the Gulf War was exciting, the passion, the emotion, the flags. And I think that's where Chicago, Wayne Messmer, made their mark throughout the NHL and the country, what Chicago was all about. And that old stadium just had a special thing about it. I sit there and look to the right at some of my teammates, guys we battle with. I love when Eddie walked in today, they start chanting that name again, Eddie. Never forget that in the 90s, that old stadium. But JR, Tony, Savvy, all these guys, Carnes. I would have everybody out here if I could that I play with on the Blackhawks. They told me I could only have so many chairs, so this is the way it ended up. But thank you guys for being there. You're a great honor to play with. We were going head-to-head that year with the Bulls. Every other night it seemed like we were playing and we were winning. We were on an 11-game win streak that year in the playoffs. Mr. Wirtz, Bill Wirtz, hated that. He wanted more games. He wanted tickets. But we were sweeping everybody, so it was just going so fast. And, of course, feeding off the Bulls, watching them win championships, it made me hungrier. It made our teammates hungrier. But it had a little bit of a special more for me because I was from Chicago and watching my home team city of the Bulls, win those championships. And then we go to, of course, Michael Jordan, who became a dear friend of mine. Without a doubt, the king. I met Michael that same summer, 1991, at a White Sox game. And we hit it off right from the start. And like that old phrase they use, I want to be like Mike. Well, I really did want to be like Mike. I drank what he drank. And I'm not talking about the Gatorade. I ate what he ate. And one thing I did, which I hadn't done previously in my career, was train properly. And I just watched him after every game with, I think it was Tim Grove, who was his trainer. And I thought to myself, well, if Michael's got a trainer, that might be my edge. I'll get a trainer. So I saw a guy in a gym in 1993, 94, training some other hockey player, and I just kind of walked over and introduced myself. T.R. Goodman. TR challenged me from 1993 to 2010 when I retired. Early mornings, driving up that coast. I couldn't wait to see TR because I wanted to challenge him as much as he challenged me. And I said love-hate at the Hall of Fame thing, and I think it was the wrong phrase. He corrected me there. I don't know why. I still don't know why. But like I said, he was exactly what I needed. Yeah, he trained my kids when they were old enough. And TR, I want to thank you. That's the reason why I lasted as long as I did. TR, thank you very much for everything. We talk about the Bulls. Lastly, there's another element that came in, which gave this team, I'd just say, a little more character on the court and off the court. And he's here to support me today also. His name's Dennis Rodman. Thank you, Dennis. I still love you, Dennis. And incidentally, if it wasn't for Dennis, I would have never met Eddie Vedder. I used to chase Dennis all over town at night. And we were out one night, late night, and me and Eddie ended up in the same room, and the rest was history. We'll get to that. Okay, then the sad part came. I got traded. I'll say to the, I won't say the enemy. I'll give it to him, yeah. Go ahead, give it to him. I'm sorry, Danny. But it didn't matter. All the years I was playing for Detroit, I still was loyal to the Blackhawks. I won't say that word again, I promise. I'll use Michiganders. It's a little, yeah. But all those years, I still remained a Blackhawk. And in 2010, every fan, including myself, their wishes came true, winning their first Stanley Cup since 1961. A few of those key players are here today. Duncan Keith. Patrick Sharp. Marian Hossa. And my favorite, Brent Seabrook, the old number 7. I'll never forget the day Brent Seabrook called me and asked if he could wear my number. So I'm thinking to myself, geez, I don't know this kid, but what the hell? I'll let him wear it. And I'm glad I did. What a career Steve's had, leading that team to 3 Stanley Cups. He did it all, Steves. I couldn't have been prouder. Big hits, big goals, making plays. One hit that comes to mind, which I think turned the series around, is when he absolutely crushed Backus and put him La La Land. And in closing on Steves, he made one more call about 3-4 weeks ago, asking for tickets to Taylor Swift for his wife and his kids. As if I didn't have enough on my plate, Steves, but thanks, love you. While we're on the subject of great ones from that era, I got to include him. This guy will go down as the greatest American-born player. Kaner, Patrick Kane, unbelievable. That jersey looks kind of funny, Kane. Big grow on you. And don't worry, it'll work out in the end. You'll be standing here same as me. But just be careful, don't go stealing my thunder today, okay? I got money on the board to shut you down. All right, no one's done this before. When the Blackhawks do things, they do it in style. I just thought I was going to another Pearl Jam concert last September 7th. I've been to 1,000 of these Pearl Jam concerts. And I had a real special bond with Eddie, especially, and the band members. They motivated me. They got their big break, 91, I believe it was their first album came out. 90, 91 was my first year back with Chicago. So it was just fitting. They pulled me on stage. And as Eddie's speaking, I don't hear anything because I'm so nervous. I just want to get off that stage. I want nothing to do. I just had, a couple drinks, and I'm just looking forward to a Pearl Jam concert. But anyway, as Eddie starts speaking, he's actually talking to the crowd, but whispering to me to just stay here. And he kept grabbing my arm. I'm trying to get away. So finally, I'm such a knucklehead, he grabs me and says, "Hey, look at the monitor." So I look back, I take a couple steps forward, and they're showing highlights of me. I'm going, wow, that's pretty cool. Pearl Jam's showing some highlights of my hockey career. And not till they dropped that banner and showed my number did I realize what was happening. So that's one heck of a way to find out how your number's going to be tired. I was blown away. Now, I've always prided myself in getting his people together in leadership role. I think I'm a better player, party planner than I am a hockey player. And I proved that last night to a lot of people. But Eddie was there last night with us. He's always been there for me, for my kids. I can't thank him enough for the impact he's had on me throughout the years. We've watched each other's children grow since 1995. I don't want to put him on the spot here, but I have to because I love him so much. But Eddie, thank you for being here. Thank you for your support all those years. Love you. So after that, like I said, I thought we were doing a tribute to Rocky. Danny was at the concert. We picked his favorite song. And then it turned into whatever happened to me. But I need to talk about the late owner, Rocky Wirtz. I can't tell you what he's meant to me and my family. First, it was his father, Bill Wirtz, that brought me back to the Blackhawks in 91. And although Mike Keenan, who led us there, orchestrated that trade for my buddy, my teammate, my co-ambassador, it was Mr. Wirtz, Bill Wirtz, that brought me back in 91. And then years later, the year before I got here, my dad had passed, and Rocky called me in his office with John McDonough and said, "Listen, we want you back. You're welcome back anytime." So I was so elated, so happy that I was coming home. It was just amazing that I never wanted to be traded. No, I'm on the wrong page. I'm so sorry. But hey, there's going to be a couple of hiccups here. Don't worry. I'll be fine. Okay. I have to thank Bill Wirtz, Rocky, Peter, who was a dear friend, Danny, and the entire Wirtz family for making a local kid's dream come true, and for allowing me to continue being a Blackhawk. I will forever be thankful to the Wirtz family for providing me this opportunity and honoring me with this special jersey retirement. Thank you. How's it going, Ma? Okay? All right, good. It's an honor to be going up in the Raptors amongst some of the other greatest Chicago Blackhawks. Glenn Hall, Pierre Pallante, Keith Magnuson, the heart and soul of that Blackhawks team. Bobby Hull, the Golden Jet. Denny Savard. Stan Mikita. Tony Esposito. Marian Hossa. No way, Haas. Numbers we all know and love. All right, this will be the tough part. There's people that I wish could have been here but have passed on. You know, there's my high school coach, John Duran. I would have wished he would have been here to see this day. You wouldn't believe it, just like I wouldn't believe this was going to happen. Bob Probert, one of our old teammates. And let's start with one of the most important, Dad, all right? All right, get Dad and Mom here, but the Greeks, they didn't write obituaries. When a man died, all they asked is if he had passion. And my dad had passion. He lived his life with passion. I talked about failing and, you know, failures and then bouncing back. My dad had dreams, just like a lot of people do. That crazy trip to Australia, you know, that was nuts. San Diego, another one, backfired. But those of you who knew him, he would have Mr. Wirtz, Bill Wirtz in stitches and Rocky Wirtz in stitches. He was a character. He was full of life. Just like I said, he was the chili bar. You know, like it or love it, that chili bar with my father and mother and my sisters running that joint, it was an unbelievable time for the fans to connect with us. And I felt that's what I gave back. I didn't open the restaurant. I opened the restaurant because we're Greek, right? Greeks open restaurants. You could ask George down at the Palace Grill, right? But yeah, I couldn't have asked for better parents. Mom, Dad, I love you. I hope this makes up for all the problems I gave you growing up. This should be good enough, Mom. Penny, Lenny, Stevie, my sisters and brothers. I wasn't always there. That's the one thing I couldn't give was time. And hopefully, again, in some small way, making up for that time. Your name's going to be up there forever in the rafters, and that's pretty cool, I'll tell you that. But thank you for all your support over the years. All right, kids. Dean, Jake, Kaylee, Tara. Every time I run into someone, they've run into my children. All they had was good things to say, how respectful they were, how great they were. They couldn't let me down. These kids were unbelievable. They put a lot of pressure on them, especially the boys. And I don't think I forced them into playing hockey. We had so many kids their age when we were at the Hawks. They just automatically played. But I'm proud of you, too. Kaylee and Tara. Kaylee's, well, look at Kaylee. She's ready. She might be the first one to have a baby in the United Center. She's due 2 days ago. We'll get her moving on that dance floor later, see what happens. But girls, both of them, all played Division I sports. Couldn't have been more proud of them. Like I said, I wasn't always there, but I'd like to think when they needed me most, I was. So thank you, you guys. Love you. Come on up. Come on up. Come on, don't be shy. Everybody. Shelly, not you, Ma. You can sit down. So behind every great man, they say there's a great woman, right? I met my wife, Tracy, in college in Wisconsin. We won our first year, right? After 6 months of dating, I won the NCAA championship. I said, you know what? This one's good luck. I'm going to keep her around for a while. So 36 years later, we're still here together. We're honored. We owe everything we have to the Blackhawks and you people, the fans. Like I said, behind every successful person, there's a number of people who helped them get there. I've never taken anything for granted. I think that's why I played so long, because I knew someday it was going to be over. Just like life, we don't take that for granted. We live every day and enjoy it. Talked about last night when we all got together. It was like going to one of the kids' weddings. The best thing was seeing my friends and my families together, smiling, having such a great time. And that's all I've ever cared about, was pulling people together and enjoying their company, because you never know when it's going to end. I wish this could end forever. I haven't even looked at the clock. I don't know how long I'm talking, but this can't last forever. But I'll tell you what, this moment with my family, we're never going to forget this. This is the top, right? This is the top memory ever. Couldn't have done it without you. So in closing, I want to thank everybody. I couldn't be more proud to represent you, the Chicago Blackhawks, the city of Chicago, as one of your own. I hope someday someone standing here from Chicago does the same thing, but it's going to take them a long time. All right, thank you, everybody.
All right, it is time now for what we came here to do, the greatest honor a franchise can give a player. And as of today, nobody can ever wear number 7 again as a Chicago Blackhawk.